watching the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Imagine searching for your missing family member for a year. You were told they were last seen alive leaving a hospital, only to learn that family member's body had been placed into cold storage. This scenario is a reality for the family of Jesse Peterson. Peterson's family has filed a civil lawsuit. Her mother says she called a hospital to find out where her daughter was. She was told Peterson had checked out. Turns out Peterson never left the damn building. She died from cardiopulmonary arrest at the hospital and was placed into the hospital's warehouse morgue. That just sounds bad, warehouse morgue. The family says they had no idea she even died until a year later. The lawsuit is seeking $15 million in judgment. Joining us to talk about it, Investigator Silky Slim Reed. Glad to have you here on The Factor.
Glad to be here.
When you hear that, and you've heard some bad cases working as an investigator for Ben Crump, but hearing this, where the family was told she's no longer here, she's gone, she left the facility, and she is in the morgue.
I think, Isaiah, the first thing that came to mind when I looked at this case is, how can this not be criminal? If you knew where she was, then you should have informed the family, and it's so inhumane not to. That's a lack of compassion on the facility, that they didn't have any compassion for this family. So how can this not be criminal? And it smells, of course, of maybe a cover-up. Why not let the family know? And how did you come to the conclusion of what the cause of death was? So if you knew the cause of death at the beginning, then that means you knew where the body was. And then if you didn't know where the body was, then how did you come up with this cause of death with such a decomposing body? I mean, this is frightening, and it's very troubling at the same time to see something like this happen. You just can't get rid of a body, you know what I'm saying?
And of course, if you think about, and one of the things you said, which would be a thought, criminal charges, neglect of a corpse. It sat there in the morgue for more than a year, or at least a year, according to reports and investigators.
Yeah, they say at least a year that it sat in the morgue and was moved to an off-storage facility. That's troubling. But for them not to inform the family is the hurting part. But why isn't a criminal investigation taking place on this? Because somebody had to lie, somebody had to try to do this cover-up. This is something that should be looked into. They hold funeral homes accountable when they leave bodies decomposing. So, and those people are arrested.
And there are criminal charges.
That's what I'm saying. So when I looked at this, this was very troubling, and I'm looking to see, will criminal charges be brought, and what is the DA in that area thinking about if there's no investigation for criminal charges?
Now, you have sat with many families through situations like this when they've lost a loved one. What is that like, dealing with that for those families from your perspective as an investigator, talking to them when they realize, okay, this is what happened, there's closure, but still, when you see the ugly closure like this one?
I don't think that's closure. I think that's insult to injury. And you see them start to grieve a whole new level of grief once they realize, yeah, it's a whole new level of grief. And unfortunately, being an investigator, I become a part of those families. So when they grieve, it's a certain amount of grief that comes to me because we become so close during this period of time. You have to realize that I stay with these families sometimes 3 and 4 years, every single day, or at least 4 times a week, that I'm in contact with them, going out to eat with them, trying to make sure that they cope through this process. So when you see something like this, it opens up a whole new area of grief, because now it's like, what did she go through in her last days? Well, think about it. They're looking for her in hopes that she's still alive, and now she's been dead for a whole year. It's like, well, what was her last days like? These questions never get answered. And unfortunately, by them not giving them all of the information of what happened to their loved one, it makes them grieve harder.
And of course, the only legal recourse that this family has now is civil court.
Yeah.
And when we talk about they're looking for $15 million, is that enough?
I don't think there is a price that you can put on one's life. I don't see why there's 15 million. You know, sometimes you shoot higher than that. So you may file a case, say, well, we want 50 million, and then you go into litigations and you try to make sure that you get that family a substantial amount of money to help the rest of the family continue to live. Isaiah, when you ask me that question, is that enough? Just my personal opinion, not a professional opinion. No, that's not enough for my loved one. That's not enough for anyone's loved one.
And
there
when you
is
look
no
at an
price.
egregious situation like this.
Yes. And unfortunately, sometimes when you look at these type of cases, there are caps on different things. So that may mean that the cap may be 4 million here, 3 million here. I don't know how they came up with those numbers. I would have to look at the case and see why they came up with that type of number, but I definitely think that that was a low number to ask for all that this family has been through.
All right. Arthur Silky Slim Reed, we'll see you back here next time.
Yes,
next time we'll talk about your documentary.
We definitely will.
That's
Thank you.
already out there in theaters, and of course.
Thank you.